would do is you'd
Recording
hook
started.
one finger around your cock at the base, and then you'd really, like, hard, slowly, like, go up towards the top of your penis, like you were trying to squeeze toothpaste out of the tube, and you would do this for, like, 10 reps, and you'd do this for, like, oh. Okay. We didn't need the stem of the banana anyway, we can still continue the demonstration on this part. So you would go through this process for, you know, whatever your rep range was, and by the end of it, the idea was it would be stretching the blood vessels and stretching all the tissue in there, so over time, that would be its new norm, like this stretch state. It would grow it over time because it's constantly being forced to stretch. However, there was never any real scientific evidence backing that up. The other big one at the time was you would take like this, and you would go from top and base, and you would kind of like you were playing a fucking small accordion or something. You'd go back and forth, just like rubbing it together, and then what? I had a little spillage up the ass end of it, and what would happen over time is the same thing. Again, stretching the blood vessels and the tissue and all that, and you're supposed to grow your wiener, but as you might imagine, it doesn't really work. It never really worked. There was never any evidence for it other than like anecdotal shit, which I'm pretty sure were just trolls getting people to keep doing this, because what it does do, and what is very well documented, is it damages your penis, and it can actually lead to impotence. And I have a personal story in regards to joking because I have tried it. Like I said, I got most of my advice online, and being an insecure young man, I was miserable. I hated my appearance. I hated pretty much everything about myself. So I thought, why not? I'll give it a fucking whirl. So I did it, and I hurt myself. And I think I told a story not too long ago where I did like a pseudo-jelking exercise one time and actually had to go to the walk-in clinic because I could no longer piss. Basically what happened is I damaged everything internally in my cock. Like, just threw everything out of whack. It was all cattywampus, and I was no longer able to pee, and it swelled up like a giant fucking head of cauliflower. And that is something that does happen with jelking. There's no real right way of doing it. There's ways of doing it that don't hurt you, but nothing really grows your cock through jelking. And this has been well known for over a decade. But now, since everyone is so insecure because they're constantly being fed all of this ridiculous information and all of this awful advice and all of these terrible courses from terrible people, it's led to jelking being dusted off and being preached as a real thing. So there's a lot of people that legitimately have been jelking to try and grow their cock because they're not satisfied with their size. Spoiler alert, no matter how big your dick is, you always want it to be bigger. I'm 6.5 inches and proud, yet I would love if my wiener was a little bit bigger. Every man in the world would. But jelking is not going to be the thing that gets you there. And you also don't need it. Despite what a lot of the looks-maxing community tries to indoctrinate the audience into believing, you don't need an 11-inch fucking sledgehammer. You don't need a fucking 15-inch battering ram that the police could use to bust down the door of a crack house. It's once again trying to prey on the insecurities of people online. That is the main thing right now that is generating so much money and why you see so many of these things popping up frequently. Now, I don't think every single thing about looks maxing is evil. Like, I do think there are people online that are just sharing generally good advice and calling it looks maxing. Super simple shit like brushing your teeth, taking a shower, or if you're unsatisfied with your physical body, working out and giving advice on like going to the gym, where to start, things like that. All of that's totally fine. Like, that's all good, positive stuff. Absolutely. Eating healthy, great. But then there is that evil side of it where it starts talking about if you don't have a jawline that could cut glass, you're going to be alone forever because it's the main thing women like, or the hunter eyes instead of the prey eyes, or if your dick isn't huge, and then they start like selling courses on like jelk maxing and, you know, fucking jawline exercises and shit like that. It gets really bad really quick. But anyway, jelk at your own risk. I personally wouldn't recommend it, but I'm not a doctor. I don't know what's best for you. Maybe you'd see incredible results. Who knows? I think probably not. I think what's likely to happen is you hurt yourself, but if you really are a jelking enthusiast, then I'm not gonna stop you. I'm not your dad. I'm not gonna bust in there and slap the penis out of your hand or anything. You go crazy on it. I just wanted to talk about it a little bit because I could not believe how popular jelqing had become again. So yeah, that's really about it. Beware of jelqing. See ya.
Is it just me, or do people get murdered a lot nowadays? It seems like. I don't know if that's just me, but when I'm scrolling on the internet and stuff, every 10 posts is someone either A, getting murdered, or B, something terrible happening. And then I just zone out. And then I'm just like, all right, well, this sucks. I'm gonna go outside now and cut some wood. It's crazy though. People be hurting each other out there. It's wild. And in the age of technology, which we currently reside in, everyone has an HD fucking film camera in their back pocket. Except when trying to film UFOs or cryptids, obviously. It is a thing now where people just film interactions with each other in hopes that they will go viral.
I'll be crying if I look like that too, bro. That's fucked up what they be doing to y'all. I ain't even gonna hold you, bro. I be saying that's fucked up, like, bro, you probably had the full washing set. Your shit be fire probably if they ain't cut your shit.
This is also the case when these types of interactions turn violent. People lose their composure, they get crazy, there's fist fights, whatever it may be. There's all kinds of content out there about that. What about content in which people are the worst possible thing a human being can be, which is a murderer, and they hide it very well? I've watched videos in regard to this first goober in our content today many times. I've seen a lot of videos around Stephen McDaniel. This guy, you may have seen him. You might even recognize his face. You might have even seen some of the videos that I've seen. There are a lot of viral videos about this guy. It's crazy.
The subject of this episode is 25-year-old Stephen McDaniel. And to gain a deeper understanding of the foregoing components, we have to extract certain elements through the knowledge of hindsight.
You might have seen him on the news getting interviewed by a news person, lady, or you might have seen him in a little holding room being interviewed by an investigator. Those videos always go viral. Regardless of where you've seen him, you probably have seen him. And if not, well, welcome to Stephen McDaniel and the incredibly disturbing story of how he tried to hide what he did.
I don't know anyone that would want to hurt her. She was as nice a person as there is.
There will be one more person we're talking about in this video, by the way. Both of the people and stories we're covering in this video are incredibly interesting. The next one after Stephen is just sick and disgusting and horrible. Stephen was always the weird neighbor in his apartment complex, Barrister's Hall, a 16-unit complex which housed law students from Mercer University in Macon, Georgia.
Founded in 1873, Mercer School of Law was one of the first law schools in the nation. We were also the first ABA accredited law school in Georgia.
Pretty quaint, pretty humble, pretty nice, a lot of beige, cool looking red doors, dude. Red doors fucking freak me out. That's how you get into hell, I think. Stephen was a graduate of the Mercer Law School along with his fellow classmate and Barrister Hall resident Lauren Giddings. Stephen didn't have that many friends, but he always got along with Lauren, and Lauren was nice to him, which probably drew him around her and caused him to pay her more attention than other people in his life.
Stephen had asked her out on a date within 6 months of their acquaintance, which was reportedly only the second time they had ever spoke.
On June 27, 2011, friends and family of Lauren stopped hearing from her, and they realized she was missing on the 29th of June that same year. She was reported missing officially on the 30th, and when the local news found out, WGXA, they sent a crew to Barrister's Hall where they conducted an interview with Stephen McDaniel. This guy, very creepy guy, very bizarre, very odd.
The interview provides a glimpse inside the mind of the killer as he builds his story and his alibi. Take a look.
Person that was living there?
Yeah, Lauren was my neighbor. We're just trying to find out where she is at this point. I mean, no one has seen her since Saturday.
It's important to set the stage a little bit here. Prior to the interview, this was not widely known yet, but Lauren Giddings' body had been found. At the start of the interview, Steven shares with the interviewer that Lauren was his neighbor, and he's just trying to figure out where she is since no one has seen her. He also shares that the last time anyone had heard from Lauren was an email she had sent. That was all there was.
I mean, the last time anyone heard from her was an email that she sent out, and no one's heard from her since.
Did you see her hang out with anyone at the time or anything like that?
I mean, no one has seen her since Saturday. I haven't seen anything. I mean, I've always heard noise outside, but it's just people walking by pretty much.
The interviewer then asks Steven what kind of person she was, and he describes her as nice as can be, very personable, and very much a people person. All very kind things to say about a fellow human being. Then comes our first bizarre red flag. The interviewer asks Steven if he knew if she had any enemies. He scrunched up his face kind of weird and said no. But instead of elaborating as to why she doesn't have any enemies, he goes back to the line and says, "We don't know where she is," and then offers an explanation saying,
The only thing we can think is that maybe she went out running and someone snatched her.
Now, that being said, it's a plausible explanation. Okay, that does make sense. It happens. People get snatched all the time out running. And that would be an even more plausible explanation if a part of her body hadn't been discovered in a trash can near Barrister's Hall. He continues talking to this point and says that he went over to Lauren's apartment with one of their mutual friends who had a key, and they didn't find anything amiss. They went inside. It didn't look like anyone had broken in. It seemed normal.
We went over, one of her friends had a key. We went inside and tried to see if there was anything amiss, but I mean, she had a door jamb that was sitting right by it. There was no sign that anyone broke in. I mean, the door was locked when everyone got here. I mean, we just don't know where she is.
And this is when it all came crashing down. You get to see this man realize that something horrible is about to happen to him. You get to see his face change as he realizes the jig is up. The interviewer asked Steven if they'd looked in the parking lot at all since her body had been discovered in a trash can nearby. And that is the first time that Steven hears that Lauren has been found.
What about in the parking lot area? I know they've been doing a lot of, I think that's where they have recovered the body or whatever they recovered from there.
Body?
Upon hearing that Lauren had been found, you can tell the man appears visibly upset. He stops responding to the WGXA reporter, maybe because she's a friend of his and he's realizing, oh, she's not just missing, she's actually passed away, and she had been so nice to him. Maybe he was saddened to hear of her death. But no, actually, it's because he murdered her. He tells the reporter that he needs to sit down after not being able to respond to multiple questions. Then he walks to a nearby bush to take a seat. What a fucking weird video this is. Makes me incredibly uncomfortable. I don't know if this is him trying to appear like a concerned neighbor or if it's just him realizing that the jig is up, that he's fucked, that he's gonna get caught.
This is most likely a genuine reaction disguised as another. He is most likely feeling a sense of fear and shock over the fact a substantial piece of evidence has been discovered. Yet he plays it off as a feeling of sorrow over the loss of his supposed friend.
I don't know anyone that would want to hurt her. As nice as there is.
In spite of him trying to seemingly appear like a concerned neighbor, he was under police investigation because he was the only one of Lauren's neighbors who refused a search of his apartment. He allegedly gave reasons like, it's the lawyer in me and I'm just protective of my space to the police. There's reasons why they shouldn't be able to search his stuff. And it was at that time that the police were searching neighbors' apartments that the interview with WGXA was taking place. Everyone was outside, including Steven, curious how the investigation was going. Eventually, Steven did let one detective walk through his apartment, but only while he was there visible. That seems kind of suspicious, if you ask me. Then comes July 1st, the following day after Lauren's body was found, or a part of her body was found, and the day that she had gone missing. Steven went down to the police station to give a statement about Lauren, and the interrogation footage is absolutely haunting. In the reporter's interview with Steven for WGXA, he's normal. At least relatively normal. He appears animated. He's got an inflection of his voice. He's, using hand gestures. It's just sort of a normal thing. Then he finds out the body's been found, and he's like, and he carries that exact same energy to the police interrogation footage.
You came down earlier tonight, me and you talked, all right? You don't have any weapons on you, do you?
No.
That's just you are. What's wrong? You know Detective Patterson, right?
Yes.
Do you remember? Put your hands up here. You remember us talking earlier tonight? Right? You remember me? earlier in the day?
The human element of Steven is missing entirely. He's fucking still. It's so weird. He only moves when instructed, and he's only instructed at the very, very beginning. If you condense this down into one short video, it's 2 hours long, he just goes... That's the only difference. He doesn't move, ever. There's even a part where the detective asks Steven to look at him while he's talking to him. Classic Southern person behavior. And he looks at him, and then from then on, the next 2 hours, he just... like a demon, like an actual possessed creature. He's got his hands in his lap. He's instructed to put his hands on the table. He puts his hands on the table, and then he never, ever, ever looks away or moves again for 2 hours. You can see the other normal people in the video moving, fidgeting, adjusting themselves because they're normal. And the man just turns his head to maintain eye contact, and that is absolutely it. He's in there behaving like he's in low power mode. He only responds with, yes, no, I do not know.
What kind of law do you want to go into? Criminal law?
Yes.
Civil? Is that what you want to do for a living?
Yes.
Okay. Are you almost finished?
Yes.
Okay. So you don't have too much more to do, right?
No.
All right. Are you going to stay here in Macon?
I don't know.
Did you used to work at the district attorney's office in Macon?
Yes.
It's fucking weird. It's such a strange situation that even the detectives become frustrated with the limited responses.
I need your help. Can you help me?
I don't know.
I need your help. I'm asking you as a friend for help.
And by the way, it is important to make clear that at this point, they know that Steven was the one that killed Lauren because his hair was discovered with Lauren's body. Here's a clip of them saying so.
We got your hair with the body. How's that, Steven?
In the interrogation, the police investigators press Steven about some other interesting things as well. Some of these things could be looked into a little bit further. For example, they tried to get him to confess by sympathizing with him, kind of siding with him, saying that he's been picked on, girls didn't respect him, but he's a good guy that did something and he feels bad. Incel moment.
We just wanted to give you an opportunity to tell it, so you didn't look like a monster at the end. Because you know what? I don't believe that you're a monster, Steven. I believe that you're a good guy. You've been picked on. Girls didn't show you the respect that you deserve. You did something stupid. And I believe you feel bad about it. And that's why you're all freaked out right now.
They also questioned him about the multiple weapons that he had in his apartment. He had 3 guns, an AK and 2 handguns, along with a samurai sword and a knife.
What kind of pistols do you own?
EAA witness, full size and compact.
Okay. What about the one that was on the bed?
That's the full size.
That's the full size one. What was the other one?
The compact.
Where was that